Okay, anytime, Casey.
You're live. Go for it.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is the April 6, 2020 special meeting of the Edmond City Council. It is now being called to order. I want to thank you all for watching. The Edmond City Council is conducting our first ever virtual meeting. We are not located at the City Council building. We're not all in the same building. In fact, 3 of our members of the council are not even at a city site. A new Oklahoma statute was approved recently, last year, that permits public meetings like the city council to be held remotely, especially during emergencies. The rules permit either audio only or visual and audio communications. This is sort of novel for a public meeting, and some of us are somewhat skeptical about whether this will work or not. But teleconference meetings have become the norm lately for many of us, so it's not as unusual. After attending church on Facebook for 3 weeks in a row, a virtual city council meeting isn't a big stretch. Before we introduce the people online, I will ask our city attorney, Steve Murdoch, to make some opening remarks regarding this virtual meeting. Mr. Murdoch?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City Council has closed the council chambers and will hold our special meeting tonight by video conference. The change is to protect the public health while maintaining critical operations and is in accordance with recent changes to the State Open Meeting Act as set out in Senate Bill 661. The changes define how to hold open meetings remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. Each member of the City Council and member of the city staff are participating remotely via video conference. The posted agenda provides notice to the public on how to watch the meeting and connect to the meeting. Also, should a connection with any one of the City Council members present for the video conference be lost, the meeting will be recessed to reestablish the connection. We will recess the meeting up to a maximum of 30 minutes to reestablish the connection. If reconnection is not possible, the meeting will be reconvened to Tuesday, April 7th at 5:30 p.m. Participating tonight is Mayor Dan O'Neill, Mayor Pro Tem Nick Massey, Councilman David Chapman, Councilman Dale Davis, Councilman Josh Moore, all participating remotely via video conference. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Now I will ask Casey Moore, our City Communications Director, to explain how we will meet the open meeting obligations and sequence citizen input using the Zoom media remote meeting services. Casey, can you give us a brief outline how this will work?
Sure, yes. You guys are going to follow your agenda as normal. And if you take any public comment on any of those items, if you are in the Zoom meeting, you will go and click and raise your hand. Or if you are on via telephone, you'll hit *9. At appropriate time, you will be unmuted. You will need to identify yourself, first and last name, and your address. And then at that point, you can make your remarks. Your remarks will need to be on topic to what is being discussed at the time. If they're not on topic, those comments will be muted and we will move on to the next person.
How much variance are we asking for here?
Was that a question? I'm sorry. Was that part of our meeting group that asked that question?
No, no.
Okay. Okay, Council, I would like to ensure that we can verify the system is working properly and that the audience recognizes the members of the City Council and city officials that we have here. So I will ask the City Council members to introduce themselves and tell everyone where you are located. And then our staff can introduce themselves to the audience and tell them where they're located. And I will start first. My name is Dan O'Neill. I'm the mayor of the city of Edmond, and I'm located in the City First building at this time. David, let's start with you.
Yes, sir. I'm David Chapman, Councilman Ward 1, and I'm in Ward 1 at the Chapman House in downtown Edmond.
Thank you. Josh, next.
Yeah, Josh Moore, Ward 2, City Council member, and I'm located at my house in Chitwood Farms.
Thank you. Daryl, you're next.
Daryl Davis, Ward 3. I'm currently located at my house in Ripple Creek.
Thank you very much. Nick, you're next.
Nick Massey, I'm Mayor Pro Tem and Ward 4 City Councilman. I am in the law library at the City First Building.
Larry, can you do next, please? Start.
Larry Stevens, City Manager, and I'm in the City First Building.
Mr. Murdoch?
Steve Murdoch, City Attorney, located in the conference room, City First Building.
Cinda?
Cinda Covell, City Clerk, and I'm located in the conference room with Steve Murdoch.
And Casey?
Casey Moore, I'm the Director of Marketing and Public Relations, and I am over in the broadcast studio.
Thank you very much. The purpose of our special meeting tonight is to consider extending the current deadline that we have of 6 April today for the emergency declaration that we made on March 18th. We plan to extend it to the 30th of April. Other potential changes to this declaration may be discussed and approved by the City Council during this meeting. But the essential purpose is to make sure that the emergency is extended to the 30th of April, which is consistent with what the state has done and the president has also done. Before we move on, we want to go back to what we did on our last meeting on the 30th of March, a week ago. At that special council meeting, we asked the city manager to update the citizens about the status of city services and highlight some of the changes that have been made. Larry, would you cover how the city services have been modified?
Sure, I'll be glad to, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We continue to encourage and promote additional remote work by our employees. And just as one example of that, in our City First building, we normally have 16 people working in this building. We now have 6 that are working from this building. The others are working from home. We continue to also explore rotating shifts. We're using those in some departments. We are looking at that in other areas where it may be appropriate as well. We continue to have an internal staff group of about 20 of our people that we meet formally every other morning remotely to review this constantly changing situation. Those meetings have been very valuable for trying to keep all of us on the same page. One other example, last Thursday, we indefinitely suspended all solid waste services that involve the manual handling of solid waste to reduce the exposure to our solid waste people as well. And some follow-up to the concerns that we saw concerning crowds, not this past weekend, but the weekend before that. Last week, Police Chief Younger, Assistant Chief Dorsey, and I had meetings with both of the store managers of Lowe's and later both of the store managers of the 2 main Walmarts. Both of those groups reached out to us about steps they were taking and considering to improve upon the crowd situation and to get any advice from us that they might have. Those were good discussions, and as a follow-up to that, last Wednesday we sent a letter to 28 of our large retailers asking for their help in maintaining social distancing standards as identified by the CDC, Center for Disease Control, through whatever actions might be appropriate operations. From the general observations and feedback that we had from comparison to crowds this past weekend, many of the stores had implemented additional distancing and safety measures, and the parking lots appeared to be less crowded from our perspective. And one of the things that I think you're wanting to consider tonight would be a recommendation from the staff that the neighborhood park playgrounds also be closed through an amendment to the emergency declaration. Of course, Mr. Murdoch will talk about that. Oklahoma City has done that for those playground areas as well as several other cities.
Are there any other questions for Larry on the compliance thing that we were trying to, we spoke about that at the last council meeting at length. And I was very impressed with the improvements I saw this weekend. I don't know how the other council members felt. It certainly was a different weekend because it was a lot colder. I don't think that many people were encouraged to go out to buy garden equipment when it's 37 degrees out there. But it was well organized. I like the idea of most of them having one main entrance and one exit, and to control the amount of people that came into the buildings and out. And I thought that was a much better improvement over what we had the week before. So I thought that worked pretty good. Any other comments? Okay, very well. We talked a little bit about marketing, and Casey's staff has come up with some recommendations in terms of some social media type efforts. Could we ask Casey to speak about that a little bit? Because that was one of the other things that we talked about at our last council meeting.
Sure. Yes, we've ramped up now that we've kind of excuse me. Now that we have made our policies a little more stringent, we've created some new graphics that we're utilizing on all of our social media channels. Those have been well received. We're putting out constant messaging there. We're also going to run some ads in local papers with that same graphic as well. And essentially, what it just kind of tells people what shelter in place looks like here in the community. That means, only going out for essential grocery trips, pharmacies, socially distanced exercise, all those sorts of things. There's 6 different items that are on that. Additionally, we're going to get some signs, hopefully within the week, that we can put out at some neighborhood entrances that'll have that same information, so that if people are getting out and about, they'll see those and it'll be another reminder. And we'll continue to ramp up that communication. We've got our page on our website, which is edmondok.com/coronavirus. And that's where we put all of the most up-to-date information. After tonight's meeting, whatever changes you all make, we'll send that out to the public as well. That'll go to the media, that'll go to all of our social media channels, our website. And so we'll continue to push out the information every which way we can. One thing that is helping is all the local communities tend to be kind of sticking together for the most part and having very similar ordinances and declarations from city to city. So that does help. That doesn't mean that everyone is exactly the same, but we'll continue to look for guidance from our local health department, the state health department, and the CDC. And we'll do everything we can to put that messaging out in every way that we can to try to get people to stay home and stay safe.
Thank you, Casey. I thought it'd be appropriate, Larry, do you want to introduce Matt Stillwell? And maybe he's on the phone here or something. We'll find out for sure.
Sure. Matt Stillwell is our Director of Public Safety Communications and Emergency Management, and Matt is actually one of our point people in terms of trying to keep us abreast of what he's seen at the state and federal level, and he and his staff have been very good at keeping us updated on that. So I think what Matt is ready to do is talk to all of you about the latest information that he has.
Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. This crisis continues to escalate, and numbers do continue to increase. Latest numbers from the Oklahoma State Health Department today show 1,327 positive cases in the state of Oklahoma with 51 fatalities. Oklahoma County has 279 of those cases, and unfortunately we've had 7 fatalities in Oklahoma County. The experts are telling us that the next 2 weeks are going to be extremely critical in slowing down the community spread of this COVID-19 virus. Safer at home is absolutely accurate. If you're home, you're not contracting, nor are you spreading. We do encourage the citizens of Edmond to do their own part by ensuring they continue to follow CDC guidelines on hygiene, to practice proper social distancing. This will slow community spread. And I'm convinced that if each of us do our own part, particularly here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to make a difference on the spread of this disease. So, Mayor, Council, I'm not sure if you have any further questions, but really appreciate what you're doing. And it's my prayer that, and my hope, that the citizens do heed the information that you're putting out through your proclamations.
Thank you very much, Matt. Any questions for Matt, Council? Appreciate all that you're doing. I had a friend that just flew in from being trapped in India for 4 weeks, and trying to get out of the country. We worked with Senator Adam Pugh to help get him back and back to the States. And been working on that. But he was so grateful to be back in the United States. But he was absolutely astonished just how unconcerned our city was compared to what he experienced overseas. He was absolutely terrified while he was overseas. He saw a lot more of the things that we haven't seen, and obviously he was impacted by that. But it's something that I wish our citizens felt a little stronger about, and we're trying to make sure that everybody takes this in a serious manner. Any other questions, Council? All right, don't all chime in at the same time. Okay. The city had a recommendation that we add restricted areas called for playgrounds. In the past, we've used just city playgrounds in our parks. But this playground is just listed as playground, would include neighborhood parks, neighborhood playgrounds, and I guess church playgrounds. Would that include church playgrounds, Larry? School playgrounds?
I would guess that may be a question for Mr. Murdoch.
Mr. Murdoch?
We listed playgrounds generically, Mayor.
Okay.
I'm not making any reference to church or school or anything like that. Not sure what the school system is doing with regard to their own playgrounds. I've noticed that most of the playgrounds that I've seen in schools are not being utilized.
I appreciate that. Well, I just wanted, it's sort of a subtle change, but it's a major change in terms of the impact of it, because up until now, we've just said playgrounds, we meant city park playgrounds. This will be a major change. Is the council sort of want to chime in on any of that? Is that concurrent with basically your understanding and acceptable? David, for example, do you have any problem with that?
I don't.
Okay. Nick?
No problem.
Josh?
I would add, if we're going to go to HOA playgrounds, there's more than several rec centers, HOA rec centers that have workout facilities as well. And usually there's a playground at the rec centers, and then there's a gym, some type of gym inside. So I don't know why we would do one and not the other. So I would propose that we also add the exercise facilities to that list as well.
Well, it's already included. I didn't know we had neighborhoods that had, none of my neighborhoods had anyway, gymnastic equipment in it, but that's,
Mr. Moore,
go ahead.
sorry. Mr. Moore, in the draft declaration of emergency, which I provided, it is patterned after the City of Oklahoma City's declaration or proclamation, and it provides that through April 30th, the following places are closed to the public, and all persons And it lists athletic gyms, exercise facilities, indoor sports facilities, indoor climbing facilities, bowling alleys, skating rinks, trampoline parks, playgrounds, and similar recreational facilities. My argument is that would include the particular facilities that you specifically referenced.
I would think so too, Josh. Any other comments, Josh?
No.
Daryl, do you have any thoughts?
I am very comfortable with the decisions to continue to close as many things to help the citizens in their choices to stay at home. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess, Mr. Murdoch, we have our declaration has grown to 6 pages now. And we started off with 2, and we're up to 6. Most of it's just keeping track of all the amendments that we have done to it. This would be our 3rd amendment to the declaration that we made on the 18th of March. And the first one being the 25th. First amendment was the 25th of March, and then last 30th of March, a week ago Monday, we did an amendment. So, Mr. Murdoch, can you go over the emergency declaration and highlight any of the changes for the council and for the public?
Yes, sir. Basically, what we've done is we've tried to incorporate the previous language that we've used on other declarations, as well as reciting the various orders made by the governor and by the President of the United States. We've also tried to make sure that our declaration is consistent with language that has been used by other metro area communities, especially Oklahoma City. We've adopted the language related to essential businesses. We've adopted the language with regard to shelter in place. We've adopted language related to specific locations. Our intent was to extend the date from the last resolution of March 30th, where we identified a date of April 16th. We wanted to extend that to April 30th to make that also consistent with what President Trump, the governor, and Oklahoma City has done. I wanted to make sure that we were clear with the types of businesses that were specifically closed, so that they would be consistent with the city of Oklahoma City, our neighbor. And also, we had some questions about certain things as far as what is an organized gathering. We've defined that as an organized gathering. It's defined as people coming together at a central point for a meeting, event, sporting activity, or game. Organized gathering does not include persons at a location independently performing work as part of employment. However, employers shall not have meetings of 10 or more. There are also some things that are specifically excluded related to organized gatherings of people in the following locations, such as in congregate care, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, child care facilities, and the like. And again, reminding people that they should maintain a physical distance of 6 feet. I will remind the council that we will have a regular meeting scheduled for next Monday night, April 13th. We will also have an item on the agenda in case you need to revisit the declaration of emergency at your next meeting on April 13th. Glad to answer any questions.
Any questions, council?
No.
No.
Casey, do we have any, if there's no further questions from the council, I'll ask for public comments at this time. No comments from the council? Very well. Casey, do we have anyone that would like to participate through the Zoom?
We do not have any hands up at this time, so you can move forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, we just need a motion and a second to approve the revised declaration of emergency with these amendments.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. I will ask Cinda, our city clerk, to do a roll call vote.
Thank you. Councilmember, Chapman,
Yes.
Massey,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
and Mayor O'Neill.
Yes. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you all very much. This is sort of an opportunity for us to have, is there any other comments that the city council would like to make or discuss? Things that, that maybe they would like for the city council or the city staff to work on during the interim that we can do to help protect our community? Okay, no input there. Trying to find our last little statement here. It's an opportunity for the public to make comment.
Mr. Mayor, we don't have that on the agenda tonight. The next item we have on the agenda is adjournment, but there may be some folks that want to speak. I don't know.
I think we need to give them an opportunity to speak. Casey, do we have anybody who's raised their hands, shall we say?
No, we have no hands up, so you can move forward.
Okay. Very well.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Larry?
I don't know, we might have some people might want to talk about the EEDA Chamber micro grant program for small businesses, maybe just a brief update on that.
Nick, you want to fill in, you're on the board.
Yeah, I can talk about that. I sit on that board. The Edmond Economic Development Authority, in conjunction with a partnership with the Edmond Chamber of Commerce, created a micro grant for various businesses to receive a grant to help them with finances and expenses and so forth. Maximum amount of $5,000. But it was introduced and opened on I believe it was last Friday, Thursday or Friday, had 54 applications in the very first day. Closed it to further ones at that point. At this point, there's the Edmond Economic Development Authority has put $50,000 into it, as well as the Chamber of Commerce $50,000, and another donor has put in $5,000. There's another agency that is considering putting money in, but that hasn't been finalized, and I don't want to bring that up yet. But trying to help as many people as they can. It's looking like it'll probably be, in order to accommodate more people, a grant of probably $2,500. But clearly there's a need out there, and it's been very well received.
I talked to Janet Yao also, and they're also helping businesses that are interested in the payroll protection program that was approved by the federal government, part of the recovery program. And they are advising business how to make the application for their bank at the Small Business Administration. So we are working very hard to protect our community and protect our businesses and community. This is Holy Week. This is the week, next Sunday will be Easter Sunday. It's an appropriate time for our community to be thoughtful about what's going on, the emergencies that we have, and the people that are suffering. And the communities in New York City and the communities in New Orleans are enduring difficulties that are unbelievable that would happen in our country. But anyway, we pray that we get through this fair, fast, and with the minimum disruption. I want to thank the city staff for doing everything they can, our city employees for working hard to sustain the services that we've gotten used to. And we really appreciate, and they're important for us at this particular point in time. Without any further comments, is there a motion to adjourn, or is there more comments? Anyone? Very well. Go ahead, Josh.
I was curious that such good news that Nick shared with the EDA and Chambers program. Do we, Oklahoma City has the 5.5 million program through, I think it's through their, I think it's through ED and also through the Chamber. Do we want to maybe give Larry some guidance, or to talk maybe further with Janet about an Edmond just looking at some type of expanded program on that front that we might need in the future?
Well, I spoke with Janet a little bit about that this afternoon, and the board is looking at some of those options like that. They're trying to figure out if they can get through this and how it works, and whether or not we want to expand on what the mini grant program that they did, or go to something bigger and better. But at least they're exploring it, and it's a possibility that they may come up. Don't you think, Nick, that they've got some ideas that they're
Well, there's a lot of things we're looking at. Maybe the city may be able to do something on its budget. So just preliminary talks on that, but I think it's certainly being looked at.
I appreciate that, Josh. Yeah, good idea. Anything else? I need a motion to adjourn, guys. This worked out pretty good. Thanks, staff, for working that and making that happen. I was real pleased with how that worked. Casey did a good job, and Andrew did a really good job. I'm on an iPad, and I haven't been on an iPad and computer since I've been in office. But we're becoming educated at my age. Yes. Anything else, council? I need a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I'd make a motion that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Cindy, do I have to do a roll call for this too?
Yes, why not? Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Massey,
Yeah. Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
and Mayor O'Neill.
Yes. Thank you all very much, and thank you, staff, for making this happen. And I hope it was beneficial for everyone. Thanks for your support.
Yes, Wes.
Take care. God bless.